Imagine walking into your own home, only to vanish into thin air. No witnesses. No struggle. Just, gone. This isn't just a story about a missing person. It's about a mystery so twisted, so chilling, that even the best investigators in Seattle were left grasping at straws. Clara Hayes, a rising star in the art world, disappeared without a trace on a cold December night in 2015. But what investigators discovered inside her apartment would haunt them for years. A single clue was left behind, 5 cryptic words scribbled in her diary. The answer lies within. But what did it mean? Was it a desperate message, a warning, or something far more sinister? The police came around to investigate the close-door neighbor, and she said that night, "I swear I saw someone standing by her window. But when I looked again, they were gone." In the next 20 minutes, we'll unravel the chilling details behind Clara's disappearance, evidence so bizarre it's hard to believe it's real. But brace yourself, this story might leave you with more questions than answers. When investigators first entered Clara Hayes' apartment, nothing seemed out of place, at least, not at first glance. But as they stepped further inside, the scene began to tell a far more chilling story. Clara's apartment was modest, just a one-bedroom unit in a quiet part of Seattle. But every corner of this space seemed to hold a secret. The living room was cluttered with unfinished paintings and brushes, while her bedroom was eerily pristine, as if untouched by time. Investigators found it strange that Clara, an artist known for her chaotic workspace, would leave one room in such immaculate condition. It was almost as if someone wanted it to look that way. On her bedside table, they found a diary, a routine detail in most missing persons cases. But this wasn't any ordinary journal. On the last page, written hastily in shaky handwriting, were the words, "The answer lies within." Beside it was a series of symbols no one could decipher. These could be anything, a coded message, a drawing only she understood, or even something written under duress. Without more context, it's impossible to know. The apartment's only window was unlocked, but here's the strangest part, investigators found no fingerprints, no smudges, nothing to suggest anyone touched it. Even stranger, a small symbol had been carved into the frost on the windowpane. A circle with an X through it, an image that would appear again in the most unexpected places. This symbol is often associated with secrecy or marking a passage. If it was left intentionally, it could mean someone was trying to send a message, or cover their tracks. On the kitchen counter, they found a coffee cup. Still warm. It seemed like Clara had been interrupted in the middle of her night routine. But who, or what, interrupted her? Surveillance footage from the building revealed nothing. No one was seen entering or leaving her apartment that night. The mystery only deepened when neighbors reported hearing something unusual. One neighbor, who lived directly across from Clara, reported hearing 3 distinct knocks on her door at exactly 2:17 a.m. But when they looked through the peephole, no one was there. When the police called her close-door neighbor for an interview, she said, "It didn't make sense. I know I heard someone. But when I opened my door, the hallway was completely empty." Perhaps the most puzzling discovery was this: one of Clara's paintings was missing. The frame was still there, but the canvas had been cut out, removed with precision. The missing artwork? A piece she had titled, "The Vanishing Room." Was this painting a clue, or a message from Clara herself? And why was it the only item taken from her home? The diary, the missing painting, and the mysterious symbols, each piece of evidence paints a disturbing picture, but none of it answers the question, what really happened to Clara Hayes? In the next chapter, we delve into the suspects, the motives, and the theories that have left investigators baffled to this day. On December 15, 2015, Clara Hayes was last seen leaving an art exhibition in downtown Seattle. Security footage shows her stepping outside, holding a cup of coffee and her portfolio bag. Witnesses say she appeared calm and cheerful, even excited about the positive reviews her work had received. But that night, she made one final call, a voicemail left for her best friend. In it, she mentioned something odd.
Hey, just got home. Something doesn't feel right. Call me when you can, okay?
The next morning, Clara's best friend, Amanda, arrived to check on her. She hadn't answered calls or texts. What Amanda found would spark one of the most baffling mysteries in Seattle's history. The apartment was unlocked, but Clara was nowhere to be found. Her coat and keys were still by the door, and a cup of coffee sat half empty on the kitchen counter, still warm. Detectives arrived shortly after Amanda's call. The scene was peculiar, no signs of forced entry, no struggle, and no major items missing, except one, Clara's painting, The Vanishing Room, was gone. The frame hung empty on the wall, its edges neatly cut. While the forensic expert was interviewed, he said, "This wasn't random. Whoever did this wanted us to see this symbol, but why? And what does it mean?" Throughout the day, detectives interviewed Clara's neighbors. Some reported hearing faint noises around midnight, others recalled something even stranger. One of Clara's neighbors said something even more suspicious. "I looked out my window and saw someone standing near hers. It was just a silhouette, but something about it felt wrong. And then they were gone." Was it an intruder? A stranger? Or someone Clara knew? The shadow remains one of the case's most puzzling details. When detectives reviewed the building's surveillance footage, they were met with more questions than answers. Clara is last seen entering her apartment at 8:57 p.m. After that, nothing. Footage shows the hallway empty. No one enters or exits Clara's apartment until the next morning when Amanda arrives. How could someone vanish without a trace in a building surrounded by cameras? Investigators wondered if the footage had been tampered with, but they found no evidence of hacking. As the day progressed, theories began to emerge. Some pointed to Clara's sudden success in the art world. Was jealousy a motive? Others focused on the cryptic symbols found in her diary and carved into the frost on her window. Flash to a shot of the diary, overlaid with text, the answer lies within. An occult expert was as well interviewed, and he said, "This symbol has roots in secrecy and mysticism. It could represent a portal, a warning, or something even darker." Was Clara involved in something she shouldn't have been? By the end of the day, news of Clara's disappearance spread. Her friends, family, and the entire art community were left in shock. How could someone so full of life simply vanish? Cut to her missing poster, Clara's smiling face, with the words, "Have you seen me?" printed boldly underneath. One day, one mystery, and one haunting question: what happened to Clara Hayes? As investigators delved deeper, the evidence would only grow stranger, and the truth, even more elusive. The scene inside Clara's apartment told a story, but not a complete one. There were no signs of forced entry, no clear evidence of a struggle. Her coat and keys were left by the door, her half-empty coffee cup still warm on the kitchen counter. Close up, a diary on her desk, flipped open to a cryptic message: "The answer lies within." One of the detectives was interviewed, and he said, "We thought this would be straightforward. But the more we looked, the less sense it made. Every piece of evidence felt like it was placed intentionally, as if someone wanted us to find it." Her most prized possession, a painting titled The Vanishing Room, was gone, leaving behind an empty frame hanging ominously on the wall. Friends described the piece as one of her most personal works, though Clara never explained its true meaning. The painting's disappearance only deepened the mystery. Flashback, a gallery showing the painting, with attendees marveling at its dark and abstract themes. As well, an art critic was interviewed, and he said, "It was haunting. You couldn't look away. It's almost as if Clara poured her soul into that canvas, and now it's vanished, just like her." A peculiar discovery on the frost-covered window baffled investigators. A faint symbol, a circle with an X through it, was revealed under UV light. Experts speculated on its meaning, linking it to occult practices, secrecy, or even warnings. Cut to an occult expert flipping through a dusty tome of symbols. When the occult expert was interviewed, he said again, "This symbol has a long history. It's often associated with crossing boundaries, between worlds, or between life and death. But what it meant to Clara remains a mystery." Surveillance footage from the night Clara disappeared revealed another dead end. Cameras captured her entering her apartment at 8:57 p.m. After that, the hallway remained eerily empty until the next morning when her friend arrived. It was as if Clara had simply ceased to exist. Close up, a detective rewinding and replaying the footage, frustration etched on their face. No one entered or exited her apartment, leaving detectives questioning how someone could vanish into thin air. Neighbors offered little help but hinted at strange occurrences. One recalled faint sounds of furniture being dragged in the dead of night. Another claimed to see a shadow moving in Clara's window, but when they looked again, it was gone. From the neighbor's interview, "It gave me chills. I thought maybe I imagined it, but now I'm not so sure." Every clue painted a disturbing picture, but none provided clarity. Was Clara targeted for her art? Did the cryptic symbols hint at something far darker? Or was she caught in a web of secrets no one yet understood? Cut to a detective pacing in frustration, papers and files scattered across their desk. The detective was interviewed again and he said, "We've seen a lot of strange cases, but this one keeps me up at night. It's not just what happened to Clara, it's why."
As the pieces of Clara Hayes' life lay scattered across the investigator's desk, each clue seemed to whisper fragments of a larger, darker story. The diary hinted at secrets she never shared. The missing painting, so deeply personal, seemed to hold a truth no one could yet decipher. And the cryptic symbol carved into the frost on her window felt less like a random mark and more like a deliberate message left behind by an unseen force. But for every step forward, the answers seemed to slip further away, leaving behind only chilling possibilities. Was Clara a victim of a sinister plot, an unwitting player in a deeper conspiracy, or had she ventured into a realm few dare to explore? With every unanswered question, one thought loomed larger than the rest. This wasn't just a disappearance, it was a mystery that defied reason, one that left even the most seasoned investigators questioning the line between what they could see and what they dared to believe. And as the search continued, one thing was clear: the truth about Clara Hayes wasn't just elusive, it was something far more terrifying, hidden in the shadows of a puzzle no one was prepared to solve.
One of the most haunting discoveries was Clara's diary, a seemingly ordinary leather-bound journal filled with her musings and sketches, until the final entry. The cryptic line, "The answer lies within," raised questions that still lingered. Was she leaving a clue about her disappearance, or was this an unrelated musing from an artist's enigmatic mind? Some theorized the diary was a deliberate message, a breadcrumb trail to uncover what happened to her. Others suggested it reflected her descent into something darker, possibly hinting at an obsession with the unknown. The disappearance of Clara's painting, The Vanishing Room, only deepened the mystery. It was her most personal work, one she never spoke about, yet it had captivated audiences during her last exhibition. Art critics who had analyzed the painting described it as hauntingly vivid, with abstract shapes that seemed to shift under prolonged viewing. Some claimed it depicted a hidden doorway, while others believed it represented Clara's own fears. Could the painting have been the key to understanding her fate? Did it hold secrets she couldn't put into words, or was it stolen because someone else knew its significance? The faint symbol etched into the frost-covered window became a focal point of the investigation. It was unlike anything the detectives had encountered, yet experts linked it to a range of meanings, from occult rituals to ancient warnings. Some theorized that Clara had etched the symbol herself in a moment of panic, possibly as a message to anyone who might come looking for her. Others suggested it was a mark left by an unknown intruder, someone who had knowledge of Clara's fate. But the most chilling theory? The symbol wasn't a warning or a clue, it was a marker, a sign that Clara had crossed into a place she could never return from. The surveillance footage from the night Clara vanished raised as many questions as it answered. The cameras showed her entering her apartment at 8:57 p.m. After that, the hallway remained eerily quiet, with no sign of anyone coming or going. Yet Clara was gone by the morning. Some suggested she had found a hidden exit, a secret escape route that no one had discovered. Others believed the footage had been tampered with, perhaps someone wanted to erase their presence. But the most unsettling theory pointed to something more supernatural. What if Clara never left at all, but instead ceased to exist within the walls of her own apartment? Neighbors reported strange happenings in the days leading up to Clara's disappearance. One claimed to hear the sound of furniture being dragged late at night. Another said they saw a shadow move across her window, but when they checked again, it was gone. The most unnerving account came from the tenant directly below Clara's apartment. They swore they heard faint knocking, persistent and rhythmic, coming from Clara's floor around midnight. But when investigators checked, no one had been there. What were the neighbors hearing? Was it Clara, trying to communicate in her final moments, or was it something, or someone, else entirely? Despite the evidence, one question haunted investigators: why? Clara had no known enemies, no history of dangerous relationships, and no apparent reason to vanish. Her friends described her as kind but reserved, an artist lost in her own world. Was she running from something? Or had she uncovered a truth so dangerous that it put her in harm's way? Some occult experts believe the symbol on the window and the missing painting hinted at Clara's involvement in a ritual or a hidden cult. Was she trying to access something forbidden, only to disappear in the process? Others speculated that Clara's art, particularly the vanishing room, had attracted the wrong kind of attention. Could someone have seen the painting as more than just art, a map, a secret, or a revelation worth silencing her for? Perhaps the most chilling theory was the one detectives refused to put on record, that Clara's disappearance was not of this world. Some wondered if the painting, the symbols, and her cryptic diary entry were all connected to something far beyond human comprehension. Unanswered questions that haunt to this day. Why was the vanishing room the only thing taken from Clara's apartment? What did Clara mean by, "The answer lies within"? Who, or what, left the symbol on her window? Why did the surveillance footage show nothing after Clara's return? And most importantly, where is Clara Hayes now? And so, the enigma of Clara Hayes remains, an artist whose life seemed ordinary until it unraveled into a series of inexplicable events. Each piece of evidence, from the cryptic diary entries to the vanishing painting, whispers secrets that only deepen the shadows of her disappearance. The symbol on the frost-covered window, the haunting abstraction of the vanishing room, and the chilling timestamp of 12:17 a.m., all point to something far beyond the realm of understanding. Was Clara the victim of human greed, her art coveted by someone who saw its worth beyond imagination? Or had she stumbled upon a truth so profound, so dangerous, that it consumed her entirely? Perhaps the answer lies not in what she left behind but in what she might have uncovered, a secret so dark it demanded her silence. This is not just the story of a missing person, it is a labyrinth of questions with no clear exit. Every theory tugs at the edges of reality, leaving us to wonder, is Clara Hayes gone forever, or is she somewhere out there, caught between the known and the unthinkable? In the end, Clara's story isn't about what we know, it's about what we can't explain. And perhaps that's the most terrifying truth of all, some mysteries are never meant to be solved.
Thanks for watching. For more interesting videos, please subscribe.